Hey guys, I'm Sage Valentine and I'm back here to review another episode of AMC's The Walking Dead Season 8. This video is all about episode number 5, The Big Scary You. So, poor Father Gabriel fears a fruitless death. He's so afraid, and I believe that scene of him praying happened before he went out with Rick and the gang. And Gregory is such a traitor. But on a side note, the sanctuary has the best breakfast. I mean, they feed Sasha the smiley face pancakes, and now Simon's bringing Gregory basically breakfast in bed. And I'm just like, this is kind of strange and weird. I'd expect this from Negan, but not from Simon. But Simon is happy that Gregory was such a big help. You would think that Gregory learned from what Simon did to him last season by, like, embarrassing him and making him kneel and all that other rigmarole from season 7, but he didn't. Simon says that Gregory did the right thing by coming to the sanctuary and telling them everything that was going on. Simon brought him to this particular room that he's in because he believes Gregory can help them solve this problem, i.e., all-out war. Then Simon makes this really funny comment weird comment about giving Gregory food and Gregory eating the food and filling his belly with his love. And I'm just like, I don't know if that was supposed to be perverted or supposed to be weird or kind of tongue-in-cheek, but everybody on social media, their minds were like dip diving straight into the gutter, and I'm just like, okay, Simon, just give him the breakfast and keep it moving. I don't think you like him that much. But we get to the scene with this meeting of Dwight, Regina, Gavin, Simon, Eugene was there, Arat was standing up, and Negan was at the head of the table, as he always is. And Gregory seemed so out of place at this meeting. He was trying his best to butter up Negan, and Negan was just listening, but he was just not here for it. I really feel like Negan's inner monologue was like, oh, let's get to it. I know you're going to kiss my butt, but let's get to it. Come on, come on, come on, come on. We don't have all day for this. Negan reveals that he likes killing people under the right circumstances. In other words, he's not just killing random people. And we have seen examples of that on the TV show. And in the comic book, that's how he is. He doesn't just kill somebody without a reason to kill them. And I'm sure some people will watch this video and say, well, he killed Abe and Glenn for no reason. No. In Negan's mind, he had a reason. In our minds as viewers, we're just like, why did those two have to die? And Daryl was the one who started this mess. Why didn't Daryl die? We could go through that conversation and go back and forth all day, all night, all year long, all month long, all week long. But in Negan's mind, he feels like he did that for his own purpose. And he says that when you kill the right people, everything falls into place. Everyone is happy. You kill one person, you save 100 more. That's Negan's logic. And Gregory reveals that he realizes why the Saviors are called the Saviors, because they save people. Yeah. Okay, Gregory. Dwight decides to get up because he needs a smoke. And now that should look shady to some of those people at the table, but it doesn't because everything that's going on. And Negan kind of asks him, well, where are you going, Dwight? You don't want to hear the rest of this. And Dwight's just like, well, all you gotta do is point me in the right direction and tell me what to do. I don't need to hear this mess anymore. So Gregory, with his gigantic head and ego, feels that he can stop that mess with Maggie and them. My grandmother always says and them, or she always said that years ago. And he will kick people out of the sanctuary if they don't listen. Now, that's the background to what he said to Rick and the gang, or to Maggie in episode 1. But then I remember him saying to Maggie, all of that came from Negan. And I'm like, I had a feeling it was you. Because I don't think Negan would be kicking people out like that. He would need people, because if you pay attention to the episode, you know, or if you rewatch it, not even pay attention, you will see that Negan is all about numbers and this little economy. So he's not about to kill somebody or get rid of somebody without a reason. All right, so Negan wonders if Gregory is still the head guy. Because if he was, how come he didn't know about that mess with Maggie and her part in All Out War, the fight part? How they came in, she came in, I think it was with the Kingdom and Shiva. Awesome, Shiva, rest in peace. Negan thinks that Gregory's like a politician and he's playing both sides. Negan's one smart cookie. Gregory starts stammering, trying to make Negan believe him. He says that Maggie took advantage of his generous nature. Simon is kind of like, listen, we'll kill everyone if they don't go along with it. And then Negan kind of gets pissed off and he throws a little shade at Simon, which makes me believe, like Lisa Edelstein said at Talking Dead, or on Talking Dead last Sunday, when she said that Simon was a leader at one point. I think so, because of the way Negan was talking to him during this episode. I think that Negan just came right on in and took over for Simon, and Simon just kind of backed up. So Simon is really all talk. That's what I think. Okay, so Negan comes up with this idea that they are going to take Rick, the widow Maggie, and Assface, meaning King Ezekiel, alive, and then kill them in a public way, i.e. hang them from the front gate of the sanctuary, kind of like what Gunther said to Ezekiel in episode 4. So apparently this meeting took place right before Negan and the gang came out in the beginning of episode 8.1. So now Father Gabriel is with Negan, and I've been worried about him for the past 4 episodes, and I should not have laughed when Negan ran over and slammed him to the ground. I was dying. I'm like, my goodness gracious, what the... I couldn't stop laughing. But anyway, Negan disarmed him. He said that Gabriel was a big baby for not firing at the walkers, but then he kind of told Gabriel he was joking, said that Gabriel did a good thing. You know, Gabriel and Negan have this little chat, and Rick is going to get people killed. That's what Negan is saying. Negan claims that he himself did not get people killed. He just killed Abraham and Glenn. And Negan wonders why Gabriel helped Gregory. So apparently Negan got a bird's eye view of Gabriel getting out of the car, helping Gregory, and then Gregory running off and speeding off with Gabriel's car. And we're wondering the same thing as to why he helped Gregory. But Gabriel reveals that he fears a fruitless death. He said there had to be some reason I did what I did, and maybe this is the reason. And I think I'm here to take your confession. Honest. Kudos to the writer that wrote that line, because that was an awesome segue to the credits. I was so proud of Father Gabriel in that moment. I'm like, that's a pretty bold thing to say to Negan. But anyways, let's just keep this moving. So Rick tries to chat with Iago, the dude that was driving the truck, and then it crashed and Rick climbed out. Well, Iago's like basically crawling his last crawl on the side of the road, and Rick and Daryl ask him who won that fight at the plant, and Iago tells him basically everyone is dead except for himself at the moment, Jerry, Ezekiel, and Carol. Well, he doesn't say the names of the people, but we all as viewers and Rick and Daryl put 2 and 2 together. Iago blames Rick for this. I don't blame him. I blame Negan. So Negan says if his people think that he's dead, a lot of people will die in there. Yeah, because if you think that collective of people is going to continue to listen to Negan's lieutenants without Negan there, you got another thing coming. It's kind of like the 99% with the 1%. There's more of the 99%. There's like this many of the 1%. So Negan tells Father Gabriel he has nothing to confess, and Father Gabriel reveals that he loves God and people, and he wanted to bring them together, and he likes to help people through their weaknesses, much like Negan. And I'm just like, Father Gabriel and Negan have something in common? Wow. And people Negan says that people will die in the sanctuary because he's not there to stop it. Regina. Now we get back to the scene in the meeting room without Negan, obviously. And Regina's just like, we have to assume that Negan is dead. Simon's like, no. Regina has this idea that Eugene calls inadequate, and he's right. Again, there's more of them and less of the lieutenants. This big group, lieutenants make this big group. So anyway, Eugene says, you know, that idea would make the situation worse. And Dwight was like, listen, there are more workers than there are us, and we gotta keep them in line. But on a side note, that character, Regina, who I really don't like because she was like so excited about killing people, and remember her voice was on the walkie-talkie, and I think it was the first episode because we didn't know her name until later on. I don't like that character, but man, is she no joke. And somebody on Twitter was like, she's the queen of the apocalypse. At this point, she is, because that chick is no joke. So Gavin starts talking about this mole, who we as viewers know is Dwight. And he says something like, the right kind of rat could kill plenty. And then all of a sudden, on the side note, I see a rock popping up in that scene again. I'm just like, she's back. Elizabeth is back. Nice. So Dwight tries to deflect the conversation. And it seems to work because no one suspects him as being the mole. Quite a few people in that room think it's Eugene, and Eugene would be the obvious person given the fact that he is the newest. But they can't see how strange Dwight is acting. It's really funny how no one suspects him. So Eugene later on thanks Dwight for backing him up, and he gives Dwight pickles. And Eugene gets why people suspect him of being the mole, and Dwight said, you know what, Eugene, you were right. And Scott Gimple, I believe it was him who said it in one of the recent Talking Deads. He said that we're going to see different pairings and different scenes that are a little odd. Yeah, Dwight and Eugene in the scene, odd. Negan and Father Gabriel, odd. I guess the next odd one will be Rosita and Michonne, and God knows who else will be in the scene together, but I can't wait. So Negan and Father Gaby, that's Negan's pet name for Father Gabriel, which is so adorable. Anyway, Negan revealed that he helped kids, and Gabriel calls Negan weak and says that he killed the innocent, but Negan won't own up to that. Negan tries to deflect the conversation away from revealing who he really is, i.e. just like Ezekiel. And quickly on a side note, in my last review for episode 4, I said that I was going to kind of compare and contrast Negan and Ezekiel. Very quickly, I'll just say this. Negan sells fear. Ezekiel sells hope. They both put on costumes. They both put on a guise. That's not to say that Negan is not, which he is, but in a way, Ezekiel's a little too. So pretty much they're the same. So when Gunther in episode 4 was talking about how Ezekiel is a con man and this and that, it's got these people running stupid, following behind him, I'm just like, Negan's doing the same thing. And really, I didn't think of Ezekiel and Negan being alike until Carrie Payton, who plays King Ezekiel, mentioned that. And I started thinking about that, and I said, you know what? He's right. He's really right. So that's enough of that. Negan says that he brought the sanctuary together. He makes people strong, which makes the world strong. The old leader didn't do that. He let people be weak. So the old leader, I believe, was Simon. I still believe it because Simon seems like an easygoing type. I'm not saying he takes everybody's mess, but like he seemed like he could, or was at one time an easygoing type and let people be themselves. So then Negan waltzed in and just took over, and Simon just kind of stepped back. Negan says that Gabriel will be his new pet project, and he will make him nice and strong too, and he will help Gabriel find his special purpose. Gabriel says he's strong. He killed people at that satellite station. Now, Call me crazy. For those of you that watched the episode, do you remember Father Gabriel killing anybody? Because I remember Father Gabriel being very anti-murder and sitting in the car, basically like the getaway car, trying to keep the car going, or at least being ready to start up the car and drive it away. Yeah, I don't recall him killing anybody, but I could be wrong. And Negan commended him for that. Gabriel tries to appeal to Negan. He tries to get Negan to confess something, anything. And Negan says that he hasn't killed anyone who didn't need it. Again, he is not facing 100% what he did to Abe and Glenn. So Negan's workers in Gabriel's eye. So Father Gabriel's little teeny tiny speech in part of the scene sounds a lot like some of the things that fans have been saying in regards to Negan and the sanctuary. Like Father Gabriel said that Negan's workers are like slaves, and Negan's just like, well, some win, some lose, but no one's a slave. Everyone is eating, no one goes hungry, and he feels like he's doing something right. And then the topic of the wives comes up, and honestly, as somebody who's on Tumblr a lot, that debate is ongoing, and Father Gabriel basically says that, you know, Carl told us about your so-called wives, and these are women that you pressure into marrying you, and that topic is a slippery slope. But the thing is, in the comics, the women seem to run Negan. They say whatever they feel like. They cuss him out. The TV show's version of Negan was made to be a sexual predator, kind of, sort of, and the women fear him, and he forces himself on them. In the comic books, the only person that kind of sort of feared Negan was Amber, and that's because Amber was messing with Mark, and she wasn't supposed to, because once she became a wife, all of that was supposed to be over, and I guess she feared for herself, she feared for her mother, and she feared for Mark, mostly Mark. But anyway, Negan is like many of the Negan fans. Like, listen, those ladies made a choice. No one forced them to do anything. So that segues into Gabriel asking about Negan's first wife. And Gabriel tried to use that as a distraction to go grab back his gun from Negan, fire a shot or two, and duck into a room with a door. And I'm wondering, on a side note, when Jeffrey Dean Morgan delivers the line about taking a shot and then he says shots, did he mess up on the saying the word and then they were just like, just go with it, or was that in the script? Because if so, that was pretty cool. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people didn't notice that, but I noticed that watching it the second time. Anyways, Negan's pissed off, and I guess he's waiting for Father Gabriel to come out, and he figures out a way later on to get Father Gabriel to come out. But then we switch over to Daryl and Rick and that stupid fight. Now, I'm not going to break that down too much because that fight annoyed me the first time I saw it, and then the second time I saw it. It's pretty much Daryl wanted to basically blow up part of the sanctuary or blow the gates or something and let the walkers in, and Rick was like, no, because there's innocent people inside, and Daryl's like, okay, well, we'll do the south side, not the north side. And then Daryl takes the bag with the dynamite and the guns, and he's walking off, and then they start fighting, and I think a punch was thrown, and then all of a sudden Daryl is choking Rick. And I don't know about you guys, but that whole scene gave me weird Rick and Shane season 2 vibes. If you've never watched season 2, please go back and watch it. That's one of my favorite seasons because it seems like everything that was said in that season that Rick would become, that the world would become, seems to be happening in the current season and seasons after the fact. But yeah, Daryl's giving me weird Shane vibes, and I'm not feeling it. And when he choked Rick, it reminded me a lot of that scene when he fought with Shane, and when Rick said something about choking was illegal or something. Yeah, that was gonna be Shane vibes. And also, I wish the writers would make Daryl exist without causing a whole bunch of mayhem, and like find him a purpose. because it seems like at a certain point, Daryl had lines, he had a purpose. Now it just seems like he's causing a whole bunch of mayhem. And I do like Daryl as a character, and I feel like his storyline is kind of being pushed out the way, but at the same time, he is like kind of the face of Walking Dead at this point. But still, like, he needs to be doing more than that. I'm not saying he needs to go and just sap up everybody's storylines or take this storyline and that storyline. I'm talking about, like, give him his own road, his own purpose. That was my only problem with Daryl as far as this episode and as far as his storyline from season 4 down. But anyway, those two fools were fighting, and Rick threw the bag, and the truck with the weapons blew up, and I'm just shaking my head. So then Daryl and Rick decide to go their separate ways. So they're mad at each other. Negan tries to reason with Gabriel, but I wouldn't trust him either if I was Father Gabriel. Negan says that all they have is each other at this point, and Gabriel has his gun, and Negan has Lucille, so they can fight their way out of that trailer. Negan says he wants to work with Gabriel. Gabriel decides to reveal about the whole church thing, how he locked himself in the church and his congregation was trying to come in, and he was so scared he didn't open up the doors, and I, like many people, was mad at him about that. But on a flip side, I kind of understood what his reasoning was behind that. And Father Gabriel feels like he failed them and he failed God, and he says that he will go with Negan and work with him because that's the only true way to a future. Negan kind of side-eyes him about that story, and then he decides to reveal all about his first wife, his real wife, the only real wife, and how he lied to her, cheated on her. She was sick. She became sick before the apocalypse hit, and she died during the beginning of the apocalypse. He couldn't put her down, and that's the only way that he was weak. And if you look at that scene, because I didn't realize it until I saw like this edit on Tumblr, that Jeffrey Dean Morgan like scrunches up his face, looks like he's about to cry. And a lot of people who hate Negan were like, oh my gosh, that's so stupid. I don't care. He killed Glenn. He killed Abraham. I understand. But that was still sad to see someone that dark and that psychotic show their true feelings within that scene. And knowing that Father Gabriel can't see him, it means that he's definitely a troubled soul. It doesn't excuse anything he's done. He's just a troubled soul. So all of a sudden, Gabriel opens the door. Negan knocks him in the nose and said that Gabriel can keep his gun. I started laughing. I had to pause. I had to pause the app because I was like, I can't stop laughing at this scene. Anyway, Negan comes to the conclusion that he and Gabriel need to cover themselves in zombie guts. That sounds familiar, right? Remember Glenn and Rick did that in season 1, and then Rick and Michonne and Carl and Father Gabriel and them did that at Alexandria in season 6. So that's what they do. And we learn that the sanctuary is in Virginia, and Father Gabriel made this comment, because I think Negan said something about, didn't you guys get sick, or people get sick from putting zombie guts on them or something? And Father Gabriel was like, nah, we're from Georgia. Anyways, let's just keep this going. Negan and Gabriel. Everything seems to be going well as Negan and Gabriel make their way through the herd until Father Gabriel falls over a fallen walker. And I'm just like, dude, it's been like 2 seasons since Father Gabriel has fallen. Like, come on now. But Negan helps him up, and they make their way through the herd, and then these walkers fall right on them. I think they're on a loading dock or something, and they fall on them. So we are sent back to the sanctuary in the meeting room where Gavin is talking to the group, and he's like, listen, my gun delivery didn't come in from my chemical outpost, so Rick and the gang probably intercepted that. Something's not right. And all of a sudden, Laura bursts in, and she tells the crew in the room, all the lieutenants, that the workers are coming up the steps and they're pissed. So Simon tries to get a hold of the problem. He's trying to calm these people down. They're upset. Simon's about to fight somebody. Dwight stops them from fighting. And these people, these workers, are looking for Negan. And honestly, Simon isn't doing a very good job of diffusing the situation. Then this random fool pulls out a gun. Regina shoots him down, of course, because she is the queen of the apocalypse in this episode. Then Negan starts whistling Marco Polo and appears, and everyone falls on their knees, including Father Gabriel. I'm just like, Father Gabriel, Negan didn't say you had to kneel, but I understand you gotta survive, so he kneels. Negan mentions something about, let me remind you who I am. I got the leather jacket. I've got Lucille. I need to get a shower, a sandwich, and some type of massage from one of my wives named Frankie. If you remember Frankie, Frankie was one of the ladies that tried to manipulate Eugene in season 7. And Eugene is smarter than the average bear, so Eugene was not falling for that one. Negan says he needs to talk to his second in command about everything and how the lights went out and how all of this happened. In other words, he needs to talk to him about this mole. And some woman yells, "Thank you, Negan. Thank God for you." And I'm just looking at the phone screen like, wow. And Negan's like, and that's why I'm here. And he looks at Father Gabriel. Father Gabriel's looking at him like, these people are crazy. Negan tells his men to gently take Gabe to room number 2. And probably a lot of people were confused about room number 2. But remember Daryl was in room number whatever, and they were feeding him dog food? Yeah, they didn't do that to Father Gabriel. So clearly Negan has plans for Father Gabriel. And Eugene looks scared when Negan says for those men to take Father Gabriel to that room. I guess he's thinking of Sasha and what happened to Sasha. And then he's thinking of, even though on a side note, Sasha was in that room, but Negan was trying to, as my grandmother used to say, court her. Try to pull her on his side and give her smiley face pancakes and pillows and all this stuff, trying to get her to join the group. And as we know, she decided to sacrifice herself and save the group and give them enough time to do what they needed to do. And by the group, I mean Team Family. And I guess he thought about what happened to Daryl as well. So we get to another scene where the lieutenants are all gathered. Negan, I don't think, is in that room. I think he got his shower and probably his sandwich and whatever went along with that massage. But anyways, you hear Arat's voice. Then you hear that scary dude who opened up the gate at Alexandria when Negan's people were opening and closing the gates. Remember in season 7? The really scary looking guy. And then you hear Laura. I know Arat's voice was the first one you heard. Laura might have been the third person. But anyway, they reveal that they found this empty bag. Looked like a canvas bag. And they're starting to put 2 and 2 together. And I like how that shot panned around the table to the people till it got to that dude, scary dude, Arat and Laura. Speaking of Arat, whenever people are positioned in the background, whenever the actors seem to look at each other in a certain way, that's done on purpose. I'll give you an example. If you go back a few seasons, probably around season 4, Rick and Michonne used to look at each other a certain way, especially in season 5, but it was kind of subtle in season 4. One time Rick was watching Michonne as she walked past. Anyway, I think she was walking into the kitchen or something. He was looking at her butt, which was giving us like signs or early signs that something was going to happen between those two. Well, at one point in this episode, Dwight's sitting down and Arat's like across from him. Now, Arat is giving me vibes that reminds me of a character in the comic book named Laura. And I feel like Arat is Laura from the comic books, or if she's not her, she's going to have a storyline similar to Laura, where Laura and Dwight seem to have this camaraderie and something wild happens. You'll see If they play it the way I think they're going to play it, you'll see. And I think that Laura is Tara from the comic books. Yeah, there was a Tara from the comics. She's not like the Tara we know of. She's a completely different person. But anyway, let's see. So as they're figuring out the gun situation with this canvas bag, Eugene is putting 2 and 2 together because he sees 3 droplets of like red stuff that looks like paint. And the last time he saw that color paint, he accidentally touched it. It was on his thumb. And that paint came from Dwight's chess set that he was painting, and he was waiting for it to dry. So he knows it's Dwight. He has this information. He could tell on Dwight, but he decides to hold back, more than likely because, number 1, Dwight had his back, and number 2, he's starting to question things with Negan, but he's afraid to show all of his cards at this point. So Rick sees a helicopter flying overhead, and no, it's not an illusion. And some people talked about seeing a helicopter in other scenes, and they said that had to be a mistake. It was not a mistake. Somebody's flying that helicopter. And the last time we saw a helicopter was, what was that, season 3? And Michonne and, what was it? It was Michonne and Andrea came upon it. And that's when they kind of got captured by the governor's people. And that poor guy that was dying, or he was injured, got killed at Woodbury. Yeah, I think there's going to be some weird situation with that helicopter. So Negan says to Eugene, listen, if you solve this situation with this mole, I'll make it worth your while. Or if you're unable to, but you try really hard, when everything pops off, I'll kill you first and fast. You won't feel a thing. I have your back, Eugene. That's what he tells him. So Eugene brings Father Gabriel a pillow and stuff. And Gabriel doesn't answer. And when the door opens, we see Father Gabriel leaning against the wall, all sweaty, and quite a few people online think that he was bit. I don't think so. I think Father Gabriel might be putting on, or maybe he is suffering from heat exhaustion, but I don't think that he was bit. No, Father Gabriel has a storyline he's going to follow. And if those spoilers I heard were true, which some of them seem like they're true, I hope the most recent one is not true, then we're going to be stuck with Father Gabriel for a very long time. So Father Gabriel reveals that he is there at the sanctuary to get Dr. Carson out of the sanctuary and back to the hilltop. Meanwhile, Rick goes back to the garbage people. So let me know what you think about this episode. I'm sorry, kitty cats. Yeah, every time I do these videos, my cats are here, and I just threw my notebook on my kitty, and I'm sorry about that. Sorry, Danny. Anyway, let me know what you think about this episode and the season so far. Also, where in the heck are the Oceanside ladies? And I can't wait to see the next episode with Rosita and Michonne. And if you want a little more background on Negan, definitely pick up this book. Here's Negan. I got this from New York Comic Con, but Barnes & Noble has a special edition with like Negan, and there's like some red stuff. It's like a green sticker. It says Barnes & Noble special, whatever. Anyway, this was $19.99. See, the back and the front. I think that's about it. You all take care, and I'll be back to review episode 6. I can't wait to see Michonne. I've been waiting 6 episodes to see her. So I love you guys. Take care. Bye, guys. Pick this up. And hopefully my pops come in within a week, because I'm waiting for my pops to come on in so I can show them off to you guys. But anyway, love you all. Bye, guys. Bye.